One day, a massive eruption occurred on an island. The eruption was so dangerous that all the residents of the island had to be evacuated to a safe place. Yukito was one of the children who survived the disaster. However, due to various reasons, he could not return to the island and had to spend his childhood in an orphanage. As he grew into a teenager, Yukito became a quiet child. He always avoided other people due to the deep trauma he had experienced on the day of the eruption. On his graduation day, a stranger came to his school. This person was waiting for him because he had important business with him. Not wanting to attract attention, Yukito tried to avoid him by saying he was the wrong person. However, the stranger remained certain, having known him for a long time. To confirm Yukito's identity, the stranger followed him to a bridge and then pushed him into the river to observe his reaction in a dangerous situation. As expected, Yukito instinctively managed to control the water to protect himself.
Come on. He pushed me. No, not again. Calm down. Shadows, pure as my soul.
With this, the stranger was convinced that Yukito was from his hometown. Without further ado, Yukito was placed into a dimensional bag and taken to Ayaka Island. During the boat trip, the stranger introduced himself as Jingi and claimed that he could be considered Yukito's older brother, as Yukito's father had been like a father to him. Soon after, they arrived at Ayaka Island, where Yukito would live until he was 5 years old. There, Amamiya Momoko and Sanji Ino welcomed Yukito's arrival and explained that from now on, he would live in their house, and they would become his guardians.
And your new guardian, Jingi refused to have anyone full.
No, I was on my best behavior, right?
Charming, right? Even if a little off the map.
It's
Ew. It's less rural, but not by much.
What's wrong? You good? I thought I saw something. Thanks for having me.
Feel free to drop your bag anywhere and make yourself comfortable.
Upon arriving at the house, Yukito was told that his father had been a great practitioner who protected the island. Like his father, Yukito also possessed a special power that ordinary people did not have. As the son of Master Yanagi, Yukito was believed to have extraordinary talent. While checking his room, Yukito suddenly saw Mitama, a mysterious creature that frequently appeared on the island. Setting that aside, Jingi then asked why Yukito acted cold and was always alert around others. Yukito immediately apologized if his behavior seemed rude. He explained that the reason he did not want to get close to anyone was because of his childhood experience. As a child, Yukito was bullied by other children. He lost control of his anger, which caused his power to hurt one of them. Yukito did not understand what was happening at the time, but he knew it was his own doing. Because of that incident, he decided to keep his distance from others.
And attacked the kid. Or how it even happened. Only that it was my fault it happened in the first. Kept happening after that day. After a while, I just predict and control my emotions when I'm alone.
When Yukito shared this, Jingi seemed preoccupied and uninterested in his story. Feeling frustrated, Yukito decided to go outside to calm himself. However, once outside, he was suddenly attacked by an Ara-Mitama, a fierce creature from Mitama. Luckily, Jingi arrived just in time to protect him.
The water. Be mad. First day here. What? Unlike the little guy from earlier, this one actually dived back home. Attracted. Great. And now what? Witness your father's pupil, Jingi Sagawa's Ley Mastery.
With techniques he had mastered as a disciple of Master Yanagi, Jingi managed to defeat the creature by throwing it until it was shattered into pieces. However, the Mitama's remains were able to regenerate since most of its body was made of water. Jingi then came up with an idea to utilize Yukito's powers. He threw Yukito at the Mitama, hoping Yukito could destroy it from the inside. Although Yukito felt manipulated by this method, he eventually succeeded in defeating the creature.
I suppose being rough around the edges has... No, just like before. Plague's plight is unfit to... Yo, spacing out for?
But how are you able to stop it from attacking?
I'll guess and say I'm sensing you're scared. But powers are nothing to be gotta control them before they take control of you and drive you berserk. Of course you do. With me showing you the ropes, how could you possibly fail? Not my cleanest work, but whatever gets the job done, right? Stop acting like a lone wolf who doesn't care and learn to lighten with your tantrums just fine, so from here on, lay it on me.
The next day, Yukito meditated to learn how to control his power. Jingi advised him to stay focused and feel the life force on Ayaka Island. This power was described as a flow of energy that could be controlled by practitioners. For Yukito, who was still unable to control his own power, harnessing this great force was thought to help stabilize his energy. After the training, Jingi suddenly complained about running out of drinks and not being able to buy more due to his empty finances. In this situation, he came up with an idea to take advantage of Yukito by promising to train him in a better way. Jingi asked Yukito to represent him and do his work. The task was to handle the request to calm Ara-Mitama. Meanwhile, Chataro and Yako, disciples from the Ken Temple, were fighting over the request letter. They both wanted to contribute, but not long after, Jingi arrived and took the letter, claiming it was for Yukito's training. He also explained that Yukito was the son of Master Yanagi, so he was more important than them. Yukito felt a little guilty for taking their job, but Jingi continued without any remorse. When they arrived at the riverbank, they found Ara-Mitama, the target. Instead of preparing to tame it, Jingi ran away and handed everything over to Yukito. Confused and not knowing what to do, Yukito had no choice but to run with him.
Ara-Mitama.
Sure, rookie, but
Threw me into it?
we mostly receive requests from a bunch of old folks who don't know any out, even if it's only causing a bit of mayhem.
Got it.
If it's too much for you to handle on your own, I can always step in. Ooh, looks like they're already here. It's up to you.
I'm not sure what I should be doing.
You are way overthinking me.
Same size as the last one I fought. Jingi?
Meanwhile, Chataro and Yako reported the incident to their master. They said that Jingi had taken their request letter and taken Yukito somewhere. On the other hand, while they were running to hide from Ara-Mitama, Jingi and Yukito were accidentally pushed into the river. They were found by villagers who were fishing there and asked if Jingi was drunk again. Without making any plans, they resumed observing Ara-Mitama. At that moment, Jingi casually told Yukito to act as bait. Of course, Yukito refused outright, and as a result, they both argued, allowing Ara-Mitama to notice their presence. This time, only Jingi was pursued, while Yukito, who stayed in place, was ignored by Ara-Mitama. This situation gave Yukito the chance to demonstrate his training. By utilizing the energy from the life force, he was able to control the water and attack Ara-Mitama from behind. When Ara-Mitama stopped moving, Jingi continued his attack until the creature was shattered into pieces. However, Yukito sensed something strange about Ara-Mitama's behavior. When he asked Jingi what he had done the previous night, he realized that Ara-Mitama was formed from the water technique he had used while drunk with some of his friends. Before the creature could harm them, Haruwaki suddenly appeared and calmed it down with his wind technique.
I made you! Yo, apprentice! Don't just stare!
Do what? I barely...
It's out! Sorry for abandoning you, but look how much you've grown up!
That which is plight, the formless slips into any gap.
What is this?
Is the origin of the heavens and earth, and the mother of all things. Proper path. Unbelievable. Then again, you reap. You shouldn't drink so much, Jingi.
As a punishment for the incident, Jingi was ordered to clean the river, while Yukito was allowed to go home to enjoy dinner with his family. The next day, Jingi invited Yukito to visit Achino Island. During the journey, Yukito was amazed by the scenery. This was the first time he saw a train track stretching over the ocean. Unlike other islands, Achino Island resembled a large city. Jingi even mentioned that there was a pachinko shop and a casino there. Upon arriving at Achino Island, they made a brief stop at the city hall, where they met Anu, who was now serving as the mayor. After that, Jingi and Yukito continued their journey to the tourist district, an area filled with food vendors and street musicians. While walking through the district, Jingi suddenly disappeared from Yukito's sight. When Yukito searched for him, he found Jingi in a food store, arguing with the owner. Apparently, Jingi was upset because he wasn't allowed to buy a chicken thigh, even though the owner had explained that the chicken was already ordered by someone else. To calm the situation and avoid any trouble, Yukito persuaded Jingi to back down. Soon after, they came across a street performer doing a trick. At first, the performance seemed ordinary, but suddenly, Ara-Mitama appeared, changing the atmosphere to a tense one. Since Jingi was not nearby, Yukito planned to confront the creature himself. However, before he could act, a man suddenly shot Ara-Mitama, destroying it completely.
The greatest time to go and vanish on me. I have to handle this from the other day. I can manage alone. But what if I've got no choice.
Don't move.
And did he pacify the Mitama? Something just seems... It disappeared.
There's more. What a pain in the ass. And it's inside the...
Who is this guy? And what was that?
But I'm guessing you're Yukito?
Although Ara-Mitama's body was destroyed, the man warned that its pupil petals were missing. This meant that its original body was still roaming the city. The man turned out to be Ibuki, a former student of Master Yanagi who had stayed with Yukito 10 years ago. After being saved, Yukito asked Ibuki if he was also a practitioner. However, seeing Ibuki's method of using a gun, Yukito thought it wasn't a typical way to calm down a Mitama. Ibuki then invited Yukito to his bar to explain further. Upon arriving at the bar, Yukito was surprised to find that Jingi was already there. This made Yukito angry, as he felt ignored when he was in trouble. Jingi explained that he had suddenly received an urgent job, which forced him to leave Yukito without notifying him. To make it up, Jingi promised to cook a meal as an apology. Yukito then asked Ibuki about his method of dealing with Ara-Mitama because he felt it was different from the one used by Haruwaki. Ibuki explained that he didn't purify the Mitama. Instead, he chose to destroy it on the spot in order to protect the citizens from the threat. Although Yukito felt that this method was too harsh, Ibuki emphasized that everything he did was to ensure the safety of the people. Yukito still disagreed with Ibuki's technique. Abara, a member of Ibuki's team, reported that the Ara-Mitama target had been found. Later Ibuki and his team immediately prepared to confront it. As a practitioner of the life force, Yukito also went to the scene, though he felt that his presence wouldn't be of much help since his abilities weren't strong enough to purify the Ara-Mitama. Jingi then reminded Yukito not to mention the name Haruwaki in front of Ibuki, as their relationship was not in a good place. Ibuki and his experienced team were able to handle the situation quickly using black magic. Ibuki successfully destroyed the Ara-Mitama and absorbed its power until there was nothing left.
Such is the height of wickedness!
What's going on with his arm? Is that some kind of link?
He's absorbing all of its power and making it his own. This is taboo.
I swear, I'll become even stronger.
After seeing Ibuki fighting, Yukito and Jingi decided to leave for Sano Island. The main reason for the trip was to meet Haruwaki in order to discuss various things about Ibuki, because Sano Island is usually quiet. Jingi rarely visits there. He was only willing to accompany Yukito because Yukito kept insisting on meeting Haruwaki. Upon arriving at Sano Island, they were greeted by two students, Chataro and Yako. When Chataro asked if Yukito had gotten used to life on Ibuki Island, Yukito replied that he was still often confused, and there were many things that surprised him. However, he also felt warmth because everyone on Ibuki Island was so friendly to him. After climbing a long staircase, they arrived at the Kasen Temple, a Kono temple dedicated to the water dragon and the fire dragon. Yako explained that these dragons were very powerful, and when they went out of control, they could trigger natural disasters, such as the volcanic eruption that occurred 10 years ago, caused by a dragon that had lost control. There was something that Chatero and Yako wanted to talk to Yukito about, but Jingi interrupted them and dragged them away to another place. Soon after, Haruwaki appeared to greet Yukito. Since Yukito had many questions, he went with Haruwaki, while Jingi and the others went to the bathhouse. In the book storage room, Yukito told Haruwaki that he had seen Ibuki expelling Ara-Mitama. When he saw it, he was confused because the method Ibuki used was very different from what he usually did. While showing the view of the island, Haruwaki explained that beneath Ibuki Island there is a life force current. If Yukito focused his mind, he would be able to feel it as well. After showing him how to sense it, Haruwaki explained that Mitama are beings that emerge from this current. When Mitama turns into Ara-Mitama, the role of practitioners is to purify it back to its original flow. However, Ibuki chose a different approach. He used the energy of Ara-Mitama to strengthen himself. This method is very risky because it can turn Ibuki into Ara-Mitama if he loses control. Afterward, Hako and Chatero finally had time to talk to Yukito. They invited him to the training area to discuss something important. After their discussion, they decided to invite Yukito to become their friend. Yukito felt happy to be friends, but he was also hesitant because he still hadn't mastered his powers well. In addition to inviting him to be friends, Chatero and Yako also tried to persuade Yukito to join their school, but Yukito couldn't make a decision yet because he was still Jingi's student. They then continued their training together, channeling energy into a seed. They were able to make it grow into a small tree. When Yukito tried the same technique, the result was surprising. The seed immediately grew into a large tree and kept growing uncontrollably. It grew so large that it nearly destroyed the training area. Luckily, Jingi arrived in time to help. He taught Yukito how to control his power so the tree would stop growing. After that incident, Yukito became more certain that he wanted to continue studying under Jingi.
You know, if you're ever in a situation you can't handle, like this for example, you're better. You, the humble Master Jingi, just happened to be nearby and is here to save the day.
What do I do?
Harmony. That's just control it. Try it with me. Though it is indistinct, its form is visible. Though it's deep and dark, there is a spirit there. That's it. You got this. I know you do. The buds on the tree, that's nature for you. It wants to return to its original form. Good job. That's done. Time to grab drinks with Haru. See you later.
After returning home, Yukito continued his training with Jingi. Thanks to Jingi's guidance, Yukito was able to master the initial stage of controlling his energy. When he successfully formed a water shield, Jingi started playing with it, causing Yukito to lose his balance and fall to the ground. At that moment, an earthquake suddenly occurred, which was felt by all the residents of the Ibuki Islands. The tremors caused by the earthquake happened in succession and could still be felt the following morning. However, since this island was volcanic, Momoko didn't worry too much and considered it a normal occurrence. Soon after, Jingi unexpectedly met with Momoko to ask for money. Without thinking much, Momoko gave him the money and asked him to convey her regards to Master Yanagi. Yukito would ensure that Jingi used the money properly, not to buy random things or misuse the remainder. When they arrived at Master Yanagi's tomb, some villagers were also there to offer their respects. Recently, disasters had been happening frequently, so they hoped that Master Yanagi would once again protect the island. Curious about his father, Yukito asked Jingi about what his father had done for the island. Jingi explained that Master Yanagi was a savior who had protected the forces of nature with his own life. Therefore, for the island's residents, Master Yanagi was a hero. At that moment, Jingi saw Abara near the tomb and greeted her enthusiastically. However, because Jingi was too loud, Abara immediately ignored him and walked away. Then, Jingi suddenly remembered that today was the anniversary of Abara's parents' death. He quickly suggested to Yukito that they visit her parents' grave. In front of the grave, they found a key that seemed to belong to Abara. Thinking the key was important, Yukito decided to return it. They went straight to Ibuki Security Company, where Abara worked. However, since Abara wasn't there, they were directed to speak with Makita or one of her co-workers. After explaining the situation, Yukito expressed his guilt about the disturbance at the tomb, but Makoto reassured him that Jingi's actions were not wrong according to the traditions of Ayabuki Island, where people are sent off with a smile. That was the right thing to do, though for Abara, it might still be hard to let go. Makoto asked Yukito to directly give the key to Abara. After being contacted, Yukito finally met Abara and returned the key. Although the situation felt awkward, Yukito felt relieved because everything went smoothly. Soon after, they received a report about the appearance of an Ara-Mitama with a fire aura. Due to his grudge against this type of Ara-Mitama, Abara immediately headed to the location to confront it. Yukito didn't want to just stand by. He joined in to protect Abara when she was in danger. This situation reminded Abara of someone who had once protected her in the past. In her memory, she recalled the time when her father was attacked by an Ara-Mitama with a fire aura. When he tried to escape, he protected her from the Ara-Mitama chasing them. In the present, Yukito tried to protect Abara by applying the techniques he had learned.
Run away.
He controls the water to attack the direction of the Ara-Mitama while maintaining a shield to protect his friends. Chataro and Yako tell Abara to retreat, but Abara refuses to back down because he believes that if this Ara-Mitama is not stopped, the citizens of the city will be in danger. While Yukito holds off the Ara-Mitama's attack, Abara decides to try to defeat it on the spot. However, attacking alone is not strong enough to calm it down. Therefore, they eventually decide to work together. Yako and Chataro attack using the wind element. Yukito uses his water element, while Abara utilizes the lightning element for close-range attacks. When the Ara-Mitama begins to weaken, they launch a combined attack and successfully break through its defense. With that, Abara is able to use his ultimate technique to purify the Ara-Mitama. However, their struggle is not over yet. As they prepare to rest, another Ara-Mitama appears, exactly the same size as the previous one, and there are 3 of them this time. Fortunately, Master Haruaki and Ibuki arrive at the right time. They quickly eliminate the Ara-Mitama using their respective methods.
Yukito.
Nothingness is the origin of the heavens and earth. Area's crawling with them.
Nice shot!
Amazing. Well, like it was nothing.
3 at once is a bit much. Ayaka.
Those two have a lot of issues.
That much is clear.
After the battle ends, Ibuki intends to consume the core of the Ara-Mitama to increase his strength. Seeing this, Haruaki immediately stops him by purifying the core. Haruwaki's action angers Ibuki, and Ibuki asks Haruaki not to interfere. Meanwhile, Haruaki wants to bring Ibuki back to the right path. Their argument escalates, and they even start attacking each other. Luckily, Jingi arrives at the right moment and asks them to stop fighting, so they can set a good example for their students. After the atmosphere calms down, Haruaki apologizes to his students, while Ibuki immediately asks Abara to go home with him. However, Haruaki still cannot accept Ibuki's actions and insists that Master Yanagi will not forgive such behavior as it is completely against their teachings. In the afternoon, Yukito and the others gather in a certain place. Yukito thanks Abara for all his help earlier. Although Abara feels like he didn't do much, Yukito still praises him, saying that Abara is amazing for not backing down, even when facing such a powerful Ara-Mitama. Hearing Yukito's praise, Abara feels embarrassed. Without thinking much, he gives Yukito his contact information so that Yukito can easily reach him. Chataro and Yako also give their contact details. This marks the beginning of their friendship. 10 years ago, when Master Yanagi was still alive, all the members of the practitioners lived together in the same house. Although Ibuki and Haruaki often returned home covered in wounds, life there felt peaceful, as if there were no major problems threatening them. When Ibuki was injured, Momoko was always there to take care of him. In addition, Momoko often acted as a mediator when Ibuki and Haruaki got into arguments. In the mornings, Ibuki and Haruaki trained seriously, while Jingi chose to be lazy. He saw himself as a secret weapon and felt he didn't need to train. However, his laziness angered Master Yanagi, who firmly told Jingi to think about how to use his powers rather than continue being idle. In the midst of this, they discussed a serious matter, the ritual to calm the fire dragon. Ibuki suggested that Haruki should lead the ritual, while he himself would be a supporter. However, Master Yanagi said it was still too early to talk about it. Calming the fire dragon was an extremely difficult task, and he wouldn't let anyone act recklessly. After this discussion, they returned to their normal lives. They even held a holiday event together to relax and spend time peacefully.
You're getting bigger every day, kiddo.
But one night, the entire island was struck by a massive earthquake. In addition to the earthquake, the Ibuki archipelago also experienced extreme weather such as typhoons and rainstorms. Master Yanagi saw this natural disaster as a bad omen. He decided to go to the main island to prepare for the ritual to calm the fire dragon. Shortly after his departure, Ibuki and Haruaki saw a group of Mitama with strange forms. Additionally, the earthquakes kept increasing, signaling that a major eruption was approaching. In this situation, Ibuki and Haruaki gathered the courage to start the ritual, while the others focused on evacuating. They headed to the temple in the volcano crater, where magma had already started flowing out. Despite knowing the chances of success were slim, they had no choice but to try to calm the fire dragon. Initially, the ritual seemed successful. The volcano stopped releasing magma, and there were no more earthquakes. However, suddenly a massive explosion occurred. The explosion was accompanied by the roar of the fire dragon from within the crater.
You think that's the fire dragon? Yeah. Good. Let's intimidate you. Let's finish sealing it, quickly! Right!
With great effort, they used all their strength to seal the dragon back, but the barrier was not strong enough to stop the fire dragon's fiery eruption. In the midst of the chaos, Master Yanagi arrived at the dragon's temple. Using special chains, he tried to restrain the fire dragon. However, all of that still wasn't enough to save the island. Realizing the situation was becoming more dangerous, Master Yanagi decided to risk his life to calm the fire dragon, while Haruaki and Ibuki were instructed to escape to safety.
Guess long enough to be fair. Gotta know when to fold and walk away. All right. Looks like this is shaping up to be my final gig.
Thanks to Master Yanagi's sacrifice, the great disaster was stopped. However, his death left deep wounds, especially for Ibuki. Since that moment, Ibuki decided to take a different path from Haruaki, which has affected his life ever since. While sleeping, Yukito dreamed that he was sinking. In his dream, he saw a fire dragon threatening him at the depths of the sea. Shortly after, Yukito began to wake up. As he woke up, Jingi noticed that Yukito's eyes were glowing like the eyes of a dragon. However, the event was brief. When his friends sent messages, Yukito's attention was immediately diverted, causing his eyes to return to normal. Not long after, the Kasen temple was going to hold a festival, and his friends invited Yukito to join them. Of course, Yukito couldn't refuse the invitation. So excited, he arrived earlier than his friends. Upon arriving at the festival, Jingi immediately met his friends. This made Yukito think that even someone like Jingi could have friends. However, instead of joining his friends, Jingi chose to stay with Yukito, hoping he could treat him to something. Shortly after that, Abara arrived at the festival. Before joining the others, Jingi suggested that Yukito say something to Abara by complimenting him. Jingi believed that Abara would be pleased, even though it might be a little embarrassing. Yukito followed the advice, and as expected, Abara seemed genuinely happy.
Speak from your gut. Go and tell.
Right. I meant, I think it looks good.
What?
Ichijo? I blew it. Thanks a lot for the advice, Jingi.
Why'd I listen to you? Sure, yeah. I also like your mask a whole lot. See? Your teacher does know. Man, what's your problem?
Upon arriving at the temple, they saw Haruaki being scolded by his student. It turned out that Haruaki had made a big mistake by giving too many gifts to the guests. Once everyone gathered, they were advised to walk around and enjoy the festival while Haruaki and Jingi would watch over the stalls. Not long after, Yukito suddenly felt dizzy, but the dizziness was brief, and he thought it was just a passing feeling. Yukito decided to continue having fun and look for food at the festival area. After visiting several stalls, Abara complained of pain in his foot. When checked, it turned out that his foot was injured from wearing wooden sandals for too long. Realizing this, Yukito suggested they find a place to rest. Coincidentally, Momoko was nearby and invited them to her stall to treat Abara's injured foot.
Why aren't you There, that should do it. All done. How does it feel?
It doesn't hurt.
Never underestimate.
After that, Momoko asked Yukito if he was enjoying the festival. Yukito smiled and said that he was having a great time. This made Momoko remember that Master Yanagi would always smile at every festival. Afterward, Yukito continued walking around with his friends. During their walk, Abara received a call from his boss. The call was for Yukito, who wanted to check on Abara's condition through him. It seemed like the boss was concerned about Abara's state but didn't dare to ask him directly. At the same time, Yukito began to feel dizzy again. His eyes suddenly glowed, and his shadow transformed into the shape of a dragon. Fearing that his powers were slipping out of control, Yukito decided to move away from the crowd. There, he tried to control his powers and remembered Jingi's message that he could definitely control them.
What is going on with me? No. Calm down. 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 I can't do it. If I don't giddy again.
And follow my lead. That's it.
He taught me. Though it is indistinct, its form is visible.
After that, Yukito encountered the spirit, a man wearing mask. At that moment, this man said that it was time for Yukito to face the truth he had been hiding. As Yukito was about to return to where his friends were, the nearby volcano on the island suddenly erupted.
The fourth island.
This disaster is similar to what happened 10 years ago, when the entire island was struck by an earthquake that ceased only after the eruption. The only thing the residents could do was wait to be evacuated. Meanwhile, Haruaki, as a practitioner of the pulse of life, realized that this disaster was linked to Yukito, whose uncontrollable power triggered the fire dragon to rise again. In the midst of this chaos, Jingi went missing, and Momoko was very worried because Jingi hadn't returned since yesterday. Momoko immediately told Yukito to board the evacuation ship, but Yukito chose to stay on the island because he was also deeply concerned about Jingi's whereabouts. Momoko didn't stop his decision but, in return, asked Yukito to help with disaster management during the evacuation process. Yukito made sure that District 1's group had arrived and was allowed to depart, but the earthquake continued to shake, making the residents worried about the potential aftermath of the eruption in other places. Ibuki, meanwhile, was looking at himself in the mirror with a frustrated expression. Side effects from his powers were starting to take their toll. However, he decided to go down to the battlefield. Meanwhile, Haruaki met Yukito and took him somewhere because there was something he wanted to discuss. What Haruaki wanted to convey was about Yukito's origins. He explained that the disaster currently affecting the Iabuki archipelago was caused by a fire dragon that made its home in a volcano. The cause was the weakening of the water dragon's power, which disrupted the balance of nature. 15 years ago, the one who helped alleviate this disaster was Master Yanagi. He had removed the water dragon from the pulse of life, giving it a new form and raising it. In other words, Yukito was the embodiment of that water dragon. However, compared to the actual size of a dragon, Yukito was currently just a small child. To return Yukito to his original form, he needed to complete a long training process while in his human form. After explaining all of this, Haruaki asked Yukito and his two students to join the evacuation to the main island, while he would go to Sino Island to follow in Master Unagi's footsteps. Haruki's words made his students think that their teacher was planning to sacrifice himself. Nevertheless, they could only obey the request. However, Yukito didn't want to leave him with Abara. Yukito had already made up his mind to stop things from ending like his father's did. As Haruaki was preparing for the ritual, Ibuki arrived to meet him. Like Haruaki, Ibuki also intended to fight the fire dragon with the intention of sacrificing his life. Unfortunately, the fire dragon they were facing had already transformed into Ara-Mitama, a creature that was difficult to fight, even for the two of them. Fortunately, just as the dragon was about to attack, Yukito arrived in time to protect them both.
Arbiter's executioner. Holds the pride achieves victory. Touches the height of wickedness.
That won't work, stupid! I told you I would do this on my own! They're softening light, assimilating into the secular world. I'll strike it head on then. What do you think you're doing, dragging me away?
I believe I just saved your life.
Dodge that!
Don't be so sure. Haruaki!
Yeah!
This...
Look out behind you! Are you alright? We're too late now. It's an up...
You're all here!
They shouldn't be.
Boss!
I refuse to listen to this foolishness.
The scene shifts to a flashback when Jingi first learned Yukito's secret as children, when Yukito grabbed his hand. His hand turned into water and nearly drowned him. Master Yanagi then explained that Yukito was special. He was the incarnation of a water dragon, who would eventually return to his original form in the future. In the present, Yukito and his friends come to help their teacher. Although they are not given permission, they still want to help in the battle against the fire dragon. After seeing the determination of his students, Ibuki finally allows them to help, but he warns that if the situation becomes even more dangerous, he will force them to flee when the next wave of attacks comes. Ibuki and Haruaki attack at the front lines, while their students assist from the rear. As for Yukito, who is the water dragon, even Ibuki and Haruaki don't know about it. This is a secret shared only between Jingi and Master Yanagi.
As easily defeat the hardest. That which is formless slips into the smallest gap.
Benefits everything! Flowing to places people avoid!
Heaven's way is like stringing a bow!
Stop getting in the way!
I'm saving your life.
I never thought I'd see them working together.
Right? We could actually...
When the others are not around, Jingi often takes the opportunity to quietly talk about Yukito with his teacher. From their conversations, Jingi learns that Master Yanagi was preparing a spell to restore Yukito's power, but before he could perform it, Master Yanagi passed away. Before his death, he also left a will asking Jingi to keep Yukito away from Ibuki Island until he turned 15. For a long time, Jingi didn't understand the reason behind this will. However, as the only person who knew Yukito's secret, he decided to learn the magic left behind by his master to restore Yukito. As Yukito became more aware of his powers, his combat skills also began to develop. He repeatedly managed to fend off the fire dragon's blasts, giving the others a chance to strike. When the dragon stopped moving, Haruaki seized the opportunity to bind it with strong chains. Ibuki, not wanting to lose, used his shapeshifting ability for the first time to attack the enemy with his own strength. But even though they worked together, their attacks were nearly ineffective.
The true longevity is...
For real? All that and it's still up?
Because of this, Haruaki asked his students to stop helping, saying he would handle the rest alone. However, just as Yukito and the others were about to be forcibly removed from the battle, Jingi suddenly appeared as a mediator. Jingi remembered the day he first picked up Yukito. When they met again, Jingi's expression turned grim, like that of a lonely child. But after spending a lot of time together, he eventually realized that Yukito was a very sincere person. Just seeing Yukito smile was enough to make him feel happy. The day after the eruption, Jingi visited Master Yanagi's grave. Standing in front of the grave, Jingi sincerely said that he wanted to use the magic to save the island. But before doing so, he asked Yukito if he wanted to regain the power of the fire dragon. When Yukito answered that he did, Jingi immediately used a special spell to awaken the weakened power of the water dragon. The magic succeeded, but Jingi had to pay the price with his life.
What is this? Brink of destruction. By restoring the weakened water dragon at the... It's too late. I'll give you my life. Protect our home for me, won't you? Hold on!
The scene flashback when Momoko had asked Yukito to help her cook fish, but the fish that was supposed to be cooked had already been eaten by Jingi. Instead of apologizing, Jingi said he wanted to live his life freely before he died. Now, Yukito has turned into a water dragon. After the transformation, the two dragons fought fiercely. According to Haruaki, they weren't really fighting, but instead were calming each other down, like a balanced scale after a weight is placed on it.
Caught in the crossfire. To leave the water.
Amazing. Is that really Yukito?
We shall know. Damn.
Ibuki asked if Yukito could return to his human form. Haruaki replied that he didn't know and could only wait until the balancing process was complete. When facing the fire dragon, Yukito apologized for making it sad. He declared that he had returned, and now everything was fine. After hearing this, Ara-Mitama, who had possessed the fire dragon, slowly began to fade. The fire dragon could be calmed down and returned to its original form. After that, Yukito returned to his human form and immediately went to Jingi's side, trying to wake him up. However, despite Yukito's efforts, Jingi did not wake up. With a heavy heart, Haruaki told him that Jingi had passed away. The news about the fire dragon being tamed spread across the island, making everyone feel both happy and sad at the same time. While others attended a joint ceremony, Yukito still locked himself in his room. He couldn't accept the reality that Jingi was gone. As Jingi's guardian, Ino was also deeply affected by the incident. He hoped that in his lifetime, he would never feel the kind of sorrow he felt that day. Elsewhere, Haruaki showed a note belonging to Misinagi, found in Jingi's room. The note talked about an ancient practitioner who revived a water dragon by sacrificing a life. Haruaki suspected that after his master's death, Jingi kept training to save the island. Seeing Haruaki remain calm, Ibuki became emotional. He felt that Haruaki didn't care about the people who had died. Haruaki explained that he, too, was willing to sacrifice his life to seal the fire dragon. However, none of this went according to plan, as he himself didn't know how to do it. At the same time, Momoko visited Yukito, who was still locked in his room. When asked how he was doing, Yukito immediately said that all of this was his fault. He felt that Jingi became like this because he couldn't change with his own abilities. While hugging Yukito, Momoko told him that it wasn't his fault. Even though she didn't understand about connecting veins, she knew that Jingi had decided to risk his life. Momoko then asked Yukito to go out and see Jingi's face for the last time. When Yukito looked at Jingi, an unexpected situation occurred. He suddenly entered the center of the veins and saw that Jingi's soul was trapped there. After that, Yukito immediately went off to find a way to save Jingi.
Sad without you! Just how long do you plan on Hey! Oh. Yo! Yukito! That's not even possible! What are you doing over there? I saw you die out of this, man! Before I get swept away! Well, you're the water dragon, aren't you? So whip out one of your cool dragon powers. How am I supposed to do that, though? I still don't even know what the proper... Man, you're hopeless. And you call yourself my student? To be? Sorry I was such an incompetent student. See you... No, wait, I was kidding. I'm sorry. If you're incompetent, just get back here and help me out.
When Yukito ran towards the crater, Haruaki, Ibuki and his students felt his movement. This happened because Yukito was using his power to transform into a dragon. After transforming, his speed increased rapidly. In a short time, he arrived at the crater area and entered another dimension in life. Upon arrival, Yukito was swept away by a very strong current. In the current, he briefly saw fragments of the soul of the fire dragon. What surprised Yukito the most was meeting the spirit of his father. It turned out that his father's spirit had been in the vein of life, patiently accompanying the fire dragon. Yukito asked his father's spirit if he knew where Jingi was. Proudly, his father answered that, of course, he knew, because he was a Grand Master. His father then helped him trace the current that was carrying Jingi. On the other hand, Haruaki was performing a special ritual. He was trying to find Yukito, who was in the vein of life. Due to the pull of the current during the ritual, unnecessary creatures also emerged from the vein of life. Coincidentally, Ibuki had just arrived and immediately helped Haruaki by defeating the Ara-Mitama that appeared while tracing the vein of life. Yukito and his father finally managed to find Jingi. Once found, they quickly lifted him from the strong current of life. When Jingi met Master Yanagi, Yanagi immediately scolded him for recklessly using ancient magic. However, the actions taken were not really a problem because if Yukito hadn't risen as the water dragon, everyone would have had to mentally prepare for the reality that Ibuki Island would be completely burned down. Setting that aside, Jingi then asked what they should do now, thinking it couldn't possibly be as simple as bringing someone back to life. Unfortunately, Yukito didn't know what to do either. He had come there out of emotion and had no idea how to get out of the situation. Fortunately, Haruaki, who was outside, managed to find their location. With that, Yukito could decide the way out of the vein of life. However, before they could break through to the dimension, they were briefly stopped by the fire dragon. The fire dragon wanted to make sure if Yukito would return to this place. After being told that one day he would definitely return, the fire dragon allowed him to leave the place. In the end, Jingi was successfully saved. He truly came back to life, like someone just waking up from sleep. After the incident, Yukito and all the residents were able to live peacefully on Ibuki Island. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel so it can keep improving.
So explain yourself.
Well, here, bring it in. Oh, I knew you couldn't stay dead for long. Come on, Jingi. I went to your funeral. You're really old. Jingi!
The normal days came and went endlessly.
I know it's not my place this early.
Come on, there's no telling when someone might drop dead. Do whatever you enjoy.
Then you must love hangovers.
Because you're the king.
For the islands, anyway.
Ceasefire!
Human knowledge and heavenly ways. The most pliant smallest gaps.
Come to think of it, today is the big day, huh? Went up so fast. You think she's gonna be alright?
Meaning what? Not at all.
Whatever you say. This one.
Ara-Mitama in Ward B!
Let's go.
You see, I could tell you was
And
gonna
amidst
get
all that-
committed. You're worried a little about her, huh? Aren't you?
You don't.
I wanted to see them off, but they were adamant that I stay behind and see
If you insist, don't mind if I do.
my...
Truly belong. On Ayaka Island. Well, Momoko?
Perfectly. You look so handsome.
Yeah? Thanks for saying so.
Better make a recording of it.
I feel kind of embarrassed, but alright.
Not like he picked it out himself.
Heading off. See you later, Dad.
Have everything?
Yep, all ready. Oh, hey, come on, hurry over here. Sorry, thanks for
To school, didn't you?
Yeah, sure did. I thought you'd just fly getting around with you, man.
You've got a petal stuck in your hair.
Huh? Thanks, Ichijo.
Your new uniform. It looks pretty good under an all-nighter.
That doesn't sound like a compliment.
Hey, they posted the class rosters.
I'm too nervous.
Ready? Nostalgic.